China-US row fugitive researcher hiding in San Francisco consulate. The US says a Chinese scientist suspected of visa fraud and concealing ties to the military has fled to China's consulate in San Francisco. Court filings by US prosecutors also say other Chinese researchers in the US have been arrested for visa fraud. On Wednesday, the Trump administration ordered the closure of China mission in Houston, saying it was involved in stealing intellectual property. The Chinese government called the move a political provocation, but President Donald Trump says it was always possible he would order the enclosure of more Chinese consulates. In recent months, his administration has clashed repeatedly with Beijing over trade, the coronavirus pandemic, and China's imposition of a controversial new security law on Hong Kong. Further, the allegation about the San Francisco mission. Court filings by prosecutors in a federal court in San Francisco say the defendant, named as John Tang, was a biology researcher at the University of California, Davis. According to the filings, during an interview with FBI agent last month, she said he had not served in the Chinese military. However, the document says an open-source investigation uncovered photos of her wearing military uniform, and a search of her home found further evidence of her affiliation with China's People's Liberation Army. At some point following the search and interview of Tang on June 20, 2020, Tang went to the Chinese consulate in San Francisco, where the FBI assesses she has remained the court first reported on by the Axis news site reads. It adds, as the Tang's cases demonstrates, the Chinese consulate in San Francisco provides a potential safe harbor for a PLA official intent on avoiding prosecution in the United States. The prosecutor said that is not an isolated one but appears to be part of a program conducted by the PLA to send military scientists to the United States on false pretenses. China has not commented on allegations. What is happening at China's consulates? The Houston consulate came under security on Tuesday when people overlooking the building's corporate noticed several bins on fire. Footage showed people throwing what appeared to be paper into the bins. Emergency services were called to the building. Houston police say they were not granted access. On Wednesday, the administration gave China 72 hours to close the consulate to protect American intellectual property and Americans' private information. Secretary of Mike Pompeo said, "We are setting out clear expectations for how the Chinese Communist Party is going to behave. And when they don't, we're going to take actions that protect the American people, protect our national security, and also protect our economy and jobs." The consulate is one of 5 in the US, not counting the embassy in Washington, but is stoking tensions between China and US. There are a number of flashpoints between Beijing and Washington currently. Some of the most serious are coronavirus. President Trump has repeatedly referred to COVID-19, the first cases of which were reported in Wuhan in late 2019, as the China virus. He has also alleged it originated from a Chinese laboratory, despite his own intelligence officer saying it was not named or genetically modified. In response, Chinese officials have suggested without evidence that COVID-19 might have originated in the US. Trade. Mr. Trump has long accused China of unfair trading practices and intellectual property theft, but in Beijing there is a perception that the US is trying to curb its rise as a global economic power. The US and China have engaged in a tit-for-tat tariff wars since 2018 as a result of the dispute. Hong Kong. China's imposition of a sweeping new national security law in Hong Kong in June led the US to revoke the region's preferential economic treatment. Mr. Trump has also signed a law to impose sanctions on officials who crack down on riots. Beijing has accused the US of gross interference in its domestic affairs, promising it would retaliate.